This is Go-MMT Radio.
Go-MMT Radio. Let's go.
Powered by Make My Trip, Go Ibibo and Redbus.
Love is in the air. Celebrating Valentine week with Go Trippers.
हेलो एंड वेलकम बैक. सुन रहे हैं आप गो एमएमटी रेडियो. मेरा नाम है सोनू. विथ मी आई हैव गॉट मिस पुरोइत्री Majumdar, and she is a clinical psychologist, and today actually on the show we are going to explore various themes as far as self-care is concerned. Puroitree is from the Indian Institute of Mental Health and Hospital, Agra, and is registered with the Rehabilitation Council of India, or she specializes in working with individuals with trauma, OCD, ADHD, schizophrenia and their families. She's also into therapeutic modalities such as CBT and narrative therapy, family therapy, transactional analysis, arts-based therapy and mindfulness-based approaches. Puroitree, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Really excited to be here talking to all of you on this occasion.
Puroitree, we celebrate Valentine's Day. Of course, it is, with somebody you love and things like that. But I'm very happy about the fact that, of late, the focus has shifted to something called self-love, which was probably unheard of, say, even 10 years back. So I want to ask you the first thing, of course, being in relationship is a completely different thing, but how do you have a strong relationship with yourself? How can you practice self-love?
I think, Sonu, that's a great place to start. To me, self-love is a lot about accepting yourself. To a certain extent is also being flawed, because I think that's something we often struggle with. When a friend of ours or somebody we care about makes a mistake, we're often easy enough to pat them on the back and say, hey, you know what, it'll be better, try again, things will get easier. But when we make the same mistake, we're a lot harder on ourselves, right? So I think self-love is about accepting that you're trying, you're not perfect perhaps, but you also have strengths, you have a lot to contribute to the world, to your workplace, to your life, to your family, your friends, all of them. And just that, caring for those wonderful parts of you as well.
Right. And Puroitree, please tell me, we hear and read about putting yourself first. But the way we've been brought up is so different. We've been asked to be selfless, never put yourself first is something that we have been brought up with. That's a very, very core value. Now, if you could tell our listeners, what is the importance of putting yourself first?
Right. I think, like you rightly said, we, especially as a culture, I think it's looked down upon to prioritize yourself or your needs. But I do feel that it becomes important in taking care of what you really need and what's important to you, what you value, and somewhere in conjunction with that, your own emotional well-being as well, right? Because very often in taking care of others' needs, we overextend ourselves. So sometimes it's okay to put that boundary and say, hey, you know what, this is how much I can do within my realm of control without taxing myself. And some of these things might not be, things that I can support at this time or fulfill just to meet somebody else's needs as well.
Right. Puroitree, you have extensive experience working with parents of young kids, children, working professionals and students. And I think this must be a running thread where they are unaware of their strengths. So how exactly do you get to know what are your strengths and how do you maneuver through it?
Yeah, I think, that's something we don't focus on enough in our journeys. Very often when I work with especially young adults or people in their between the age of say 20 to 25, they're still trying to figure out what are they actually good at, what is important to them. I think a couple of ways in which we can find our strengths is to look for things that we naturally gravitate towards, right? I've realized that as adults, very rarely do we end up in jobs, for example, that we are not good at, right? Most of us as adults are doing work that we enjoy, that we are good at. So that's one way to start looking for strengths. The other is to ask for feedback, a little bit of critical feedback from the people around you, who will be able to tell you what are the things you are good at, and also maybe point out some of the things you can work on to get better at. So it could be teachers, mentors, professors, family members even, who you hold in that respect. And last but not the least, there's a lot of different kinds of tests and assessments within psychology and, in this realm that allow you to discover those strengths as well. So you can always take something like that to understand yourself better.
Puroitree, we spoke about understanding our strengths, but also I think there are ways to increase self-love, because we always are so hard on ourselves, as we spoke before. We really don't know how do we show love to ourselves. So what would you suggest to our listeners? Like, what is a good place to start?
I think one of the things I often ask, especially my clients, to do when they're going through those bouts where their negative chatter in your head gets really, really loud, is to take 5 minutes at the end of the day and think of something nice that you've done, right? Ideally, if you can, take a few minutes to write down maybe 3 good things in your day that you did. It could be just that, you decided to take the stairs instead of the lift. You decided to eat something healthy instead of having junk food for lunch. Small little things that, show or indicate in a way that you're also making an effort each day. And that's a great way to start showing love towards yourself. Give yourself that pat on the back. Another great thing to do is start to set those boundaries, right? Whether it's in your physical space, in your emotional space, saying no to things that make you feel overextended and saying more yeses to things that actually make you happy as well. I think those are some ways of loving yourself and prioritizing yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. But how do you find yourself? Like, what do you know, or when do you know that, yes, this is me?
I think that's a tough one. And I don't know if there's a fixed point in our life, in all our lives, when you find yourself, per se. I think it's more about the journey rather than finding yourself, right? Because even if you find yourself, it's never a constant. But to start to get excited about and perhaps be open to the journey you take to finding yourself, or finding, what is your best version perhaps. So being okay with the ups and downs that life brings with it, knowing that yes, sometimes the downs seem like they're never going to end, but perhaps they will end at some time. And building a network around yourself, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, co-workers, who are there to kind of support you, knowing that they are there and reaching out for help. So that, you start to discover yourself amidst the people who are your village, who are your network as well, and understanding yourself better perhaps through that lens as well.
Right. Of course, we have a couple of more questions for you, Puroitree. But tell me, how are you celebrating Valentine's Day?
I feel like I've never been a huge celebrator of Valentine's Day, but I do take some time to, spend with myself, spend with the people I care about. Sometimes just hanging out with friends as well, to have some fun, cherish the time that you get to focus on yourself. Just saying that, hey, this one day is for me and I'm going to take care of myself.
Puroitree, in your many years of experience, what is that one thing that you have learned as far as, taking care of yourself is concerned, or, putting yourself first is concerned?
So, no, I think the biggest learning for me is to give time to myself and not, feeling feeling guilty for it, perhaps. And it's not that I have to give myself half an hour every day, or, every weekend I have to go for a spa or anything like that. But it could just be half an hour doing my taxes as well, right? Or figuring out what I'm going to eat. How do I make sure that I'm eating healthy for the next week as well? But that self-care time can look different, but it's my time for me to ensure that all aspects of my well-being, both physical, be it physical, emotional, financial, are sort of taken care of, right? I think that's been my biggest learning and what I try to focus on each week, perhaps.
Right. How does one take care of their mental health? I know this could be said in probably, this probably needs more time for you to answer, but what are the basic things that you feel that people should do to take care of their mental health?
I've learned something recently in like the last year that has really changed the way I look at self-care and self-love. Oftentimes, when we think about self-care, we think of things like, you need to exercise so many hours a week or do this. But the thing that I read talked about how your self-care should focus on the energy that you have, right? On a day when you are feeling very emotionally overwhelmed, you've had a fight with your partner, or you had a terrible day at work, you really don't want to perhaps, or many people may not want to go and hit the gym. Some might, that might be their way of, regulating things for themselves.
Yeah.
But your energy levels should match your self-care. So if on that day, your self-care looks like sitting in front of your television or in front of a screen and watching 2 movies back to back, that's okay. As long as it's not becoming repetitive or it's not becoming overindulgent, and you have a check on that, match your self-care to your energy levels. The day you feel very energetic, go out, do that run, take a walk. And on days when you don't, it's also okay to just take a long shower to let it relax and kind of, let yourself wind down as well with that. But ensuring that taking just 2 minutes, and perhaps you'll realize it takes less than that, to do a check-in with yourself, see where is my energy, how happy, sad, anxious, worried, what am I feeling right now? And then deciding what you want to do with that.
Right. That I think is absolutely true. But are there any tools that can help us be a little more sane in this crazy lifestyle that we all are leading?
So I have a thumb rule for practicing self-care. And Sonu, I always ask my clients this, and in fact everyone who's listening can also answer this, that if you had to give yourself time in a day, how much time would you give, right? We have 24 hours, of which some goes for family, friends, work and all of that. How much time do you give yourself, right? Most people will usually say they have about 15 minutes. Some will say they have half an hour. Some might say they have 2 hours in a day for themselves, right? But start with even 15 minutes, 4 times a week. Do something for yourself, right? I call it the 4-2-1 rule. So 4 times a week, something small, 15 to 30 minutes for yourself. Twice a month or 2 times a month, you do something that takes up a little longer. So at least an hour to 2 hours. So say watching a movie. Can't watch a movie every day, but at least twice a month, maybe you'd be able to do that. Or going out somewhere, right? For a meal with friends or something. And once a month, do your big ticket item, right? Which is like the one exciting thing where maybe you spend a little bit of money. Maybe it's something that takes 3-4 hours or a 2-day trip, something like that. But it's your 4-2-1 rule to kind of break down and plan self-care as well, and ensure you are doing little things throughout the month that keep you refocusing on yourself, caring for yourself, and prioritizing you at the end of the day.
I think that's a very, very nice way to look at it. I mean, people who love that bifurcation, and if they are looking for that data कि कैसे हम divide करें अपने दिन को, I think it makes all sense to me right now. Thank you so much, Puroitree, for joining, and thank you so much for giving us some wonderful insights. Here's wishing you a very, very happy Valentine's Day, Puroitree. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, it's a wrap on today's episode of GO-MMT Radio. Do let us know आपको हमारा ये episode कैसा लगा by sending us an email at headsetgo@go-mmt.com. Until we meet next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep smiling. This is me, Sonu, signing off.
Hello, Go Trippers! This is Ranveer Singh, and you are listening to GO-MMT Radio. Head, set, go.
To listen to your favorite Go-MMT radio from anywhere, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. Visit the Go-MMT radio page for daily updates and enjoy listening to your favorite radio channel.